Lauralys Shallow here with Rylie Kyhn for Hoosier Huddle, and we're doing a little spring game preview for IU football. The game is tomorrow, Saturday, April 14th at noon at Memorial Stadium. There is supposed to be a chance of thunderstorms, so if that does occur, the game will still go on, but it will be moved to Mellencamp Pavilion inside. So that won't be as fun as Memorial Stadium on a nice spring day that we've been having lately,
Yep.
but it's still gonna go on. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of discuss some things heading into the spring game for you guys. So my first question for you, Rylie, is do you have any concerns or questions facing IU heading into this spring game?
Not any concerns really, but there are quite a few questions. The quarterback battle is going to be a big one heading into this game. Peyton Ramsey, the quarterback of the Crimson team, and Mike Penix, the quarterback of the Cream team. I think that's going to be a huge question that IU is going to face in the game and also in the upcoming season.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned the quarterback battle because that graduate transfer from Arizona, Brandon Dawkins, just agreed to come to IU. We're not sure on the ramifications of when exactly he's going to get here. He won't be playing in the spring game, but I just think it's very interesting that he will now be in the conversation with Ramsey, with Penix, and now there's Dawkins in that conversation for the quarterback battle.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting summer and going into next fall just to see who really shows up and produces. So, yeah.
And so more on the offensive side while we're discussing that, are there any players that stand out to you kind of for the spring game that you're going to be watching?
I think there are a few. Watt Fillier, he was a huge, someone who produced a ton last year. I think that he's going to be definitely someone to watch for in the spring game. I think Mike Penix, we're going to see what he can do. He is someone who's really impressed this spring season so far, so I think that we're going to get the chance, everyone's going to get the chance to see what he can do out there and, just...
Yeah, I think just one of the general things, like with the spring game, there's going to be some miscues, I would assume. Like, it might be a little sloppy at times, but I think that's kind of the main reasons for a spring game. You kind of just get out there and get that game atmosphere going. So to have the Cream and the Crimson squads going up against each other, I just think it'll be fun to see if there's anything in particular they're trying, like maybe if they're doing a lot of screens, maybe a lot of play action. I just want to kind of see the variety that they're going to be throwing out on offense and what quarterbacks they're going to be doing with the certain schemes.
Yep.
So now moving on to the other side of the ball, who on defense are you kind of looking out for as well?
Well, I think that with Scales and Covington graduating, there's a gap at the linebacker position, and I think that that's something that the coaches have talked a lot about coming into the spring, figuring out who is going to replace them and be able to step up and play that position. So I think that, Raekwon Jones was a free agent, and he got signed with the Cream team. So I think that he's going to be someone to watch for. Marcelino Ball coming off an injury from last season, and you're going to see him a lot at Husky. And
yeah, you mentioned Husky, and that's the one thing that I'm looking out for as well. And I think Coach Tom Allen, that's probably his cream of the crop position. That's something that he really prides himself in, defense in general, but that spot particularly. And what I think is interesting is that Tom Allen's son, Thomas Allen, is now eligible to play. He redshirted last season, and so he's going to be able to be in his first spring game with IU, and he's playing kind of in that spot as well. So I just think it'll be cool to see the father-son actually going on in a game, that aspect, and also just seeing how Thomas Allen does. There are pretty high expectations, and you mentioned Ball, who I would probably say has the starting spot right now. I mean, we'll see how he does in the spring game, but I think that linebacker spot is going to be a really interesting position, as well as Casey Teagarden was named the safeties coach a few weeks ago. So I think it'll be really cool to see him coach in his first game and kind of see how those safeties do on both sides of the ball. And then just the final question for you right now is, what have your general impressions been of spring practice? Riley's been out there a lot, writing a lot of stories on it. So just kind of what have been your general takeaways from those practices?
I think that they look good. You can tell that the new strength coach and the new strength program has really had an impact so far this spring. They look stronger, they look faster, they look more explosive, and I think that that is a huge takeaway coming off winter workouts and taking away from this spring. I think that the offensive defensive line looks stronger, much stronger than last fall, and overall I think that it's going to be just an exciting spring, going into fall season for
Yeah, you mentioned that explosiveness and that strength, and in the Big Ten Conference, those are two main things that you need in your players to compete at a high level against all these teams in the Big Ten Conference, especially when that conference portion really starts. Those are two huge things that this team needs to break through to be successful, as Coach Allen has been kind of preaching to his team. And I would agree at those practices, the intensity just seems really there. They just seem really excited and just eager to play and to prove themselves. And so I'm excited for this spring game. I think Rylie is as well. And you can catch that game tomorrow at Memorial Stadium if the weather holds out at noon, or it'll be at Mellencamp. And also it is streaming on Big Ten Go. So all you IU students, you get that for free when you're on this campus, so you can also tune in on that. For Rylie Kyhn, I'm Lauralys reporting for Hoosier Huddle.